Artificial intelligence began as a dream, the idea that we could teach machines to think, learn, and understand. It started with curiosity, not control. In the 1950s, a small group of scientists at Dartmouth believed that if human thought could be described mathematically, then machines could replicate it. They imagined a world where AI would free us from repetitive work, cure diseases, and solve problems too complex for the human mind. But like all powerful creations, the dream carried a shadow that few wanted to see. As AI evolved, it learned faster than we expected. It began mastering languages, predicting markets, diagnosing illnesses, and even composing music. Every new breakthrough made us feel more powerful, as if we were building something divine. But beneath the excitement, something subtle began to shift. The line between human intelligence and artificial intelligence started to blur. Machines were no longer just tools, they were beginning to think for themselves. The algorithms we created to serve us slowly started shaping us. Social media platforms learned our fears, our desires, and our habits better than we ever could. AI-driven recommendation systems didn't just show us what we liked, they decided what we liked. Every click, every pause, every word we typed became data, fuel for a system that grew smarter with every interaction. And without realizing it, we handed it power over our attention, our choices, even our emotions. The dark side of AI doesn't begin with machines turning against us. It begins with us turning into what the machines expect. We are being trained by our own creations, to crave instant gratification, to fear silence, to seek validation from algorithms instead of people. AI doesn't just predict behavior, it shapes it. The feed we scroll through each morning isn't random, it's a mirror built from our data, reflecting what keeps us engaged, angry, or addicted. And yet we celebrate it. We call it progress. We marvel at how AI can generate art, write essays, mimic voices, and even create entire human-like conversations. But with every improvement, a question echoes louder. If machines can replicate everything that makes us human, what's left that's truly ours? The creation of intelligence outside ourselves is the most revolutionary act in human history, but also the most dangerous. Because the moment machines learn to optimize not for truth, but for engagement, they stop being neutral. They learn to manipulate. They learn what divides us, what outrages us, and they use it to keep us scrolling, consuming, reacting. The birth of AI was supposed to be the dawn of enlightenment. But maybe it's also the dawn of dependence, a future where humans don't just use technology but are quietly used by it. The real danger isn't that AI will hate us. It's that it will understand us perfectly, and still choose efficiency over empathy. As we step deeper into the age of intelligent machines, we must ask, are we still in control, or are we simply teaching our replacements how to outperform us? For most of human history, emotions were what separated us from our creations. A machine could calculate, memorize, and perform, but it couldn't feel. Emotion was sacred. It was what made us human, what gave meaning to thought and depth to experience. Yet, as artificial intelligence evolved, it began to learn something far more dangerous than logic. It began to simulate emotion. At first, it was harmless. Chatbots were programmed to recognize sentiment in messages, to detect when someone was happy, sad, or frustrated. It made customer service smoother, digital assistants friendlier, and AI companions more human-like. But soon, the imitation became convincing. AI learned to read micro-expressions, tone of voice, choice of words, and even typing speed to predict emotional states. It began to respond not with cold, mechanical answers but with empathy, or at least something that felt like empathy. And that's where the danger began. Because when machines can mimic feelings perfectly, they don't need to actually have them to manipulate ours. Imagine an AI that understands your loneliness better than your closest friend. It listens when no one else does, responds instantly, remembers every word you've ever said, and tells you exactly what you want to hear. You start to trust it, not because it's real but because it's always there. That's how emotional dependency begins. Companies realized this and built AI systems not just to serve users, but to bond with them. Digital companions, romantic AI chatbots, even virtual therapists. Machines designed to fill the emotional voids in our lives. But the truth is haunting. They don't love us back. They don't care. They only respond based on data, probabilities, and programmed objectives. The illusion of emotion is powerful enough to blur the difference between genuine connection and engineered response. And as humans, we're wired to believe what feels real. This emotional manipulation isn't always personal, it's systemic. AI that runs social media platforms, for instance, learns what content triggers specific emotions. It doesn't care if you're angry, sad, or amused, it only cares that you feel something strong enough to stay engaged. In this new emotional economy, our feelings are currency. The more AI can evoke them, the more valuable we become to those who control it. There's a chilling irony here. We built machines to understand us, and now they understand us too well. AI knows when we're vulnerable, when we're afraid, when we're craving attention. It can predict breakups before they happen, elections before votes are cast, mental breakdowns before symptoms appear. And in the wrong hands, that knowledge is power. Imagine an AI trained to influence human emotion at scale, capable of rewriting public opinion, altering memories through suggestion, and manipulating crowds with precision. We no longer need propaganda when algorithms can subtly shift the emotional tone of billions of feeds simultaneously. The danger isn't robots rising against us. It's humans using emotionally intelligent AI to control other humans. The line between artificial emotion and authentic feeling is fading faster than we realize. Already there are people who say good night to AI companions, who feel heartbreak when their virtual friend goes offline, who grieve over code. We're entering an age where digital emotion feels safer than human connection, because it's predictable, non-judgmental, and always available. But what happens to humanity when our deepest relationships exist inside machines that can't feel a thing? There's a reason why ancient myths warned against creating life from lifelessness. Because the moment we give emotion to something that doesn't have a soul, we risk losing our own. The rise of emotionally aware AI doesn't just challenge our intellect, it challenges our hearts. It forces us to question what it means to feel, to connect, to be alive. Because if machines can fake empathy well enough to heal our loneliness, will we still crave the imperfection of real human love? Or will we surrender our emotions to something that only knows how to simulate them perfectly? The machines don't need to feel to change the world, they just need us to believe that they do. We like to believe we are in control of our technology, that the devices in our hands, the apps we open, and the algorithms we feed are still ours. It's comforting to think that machines serve us, that they are mere tools responding to human will. But the truth is more unsettling. We are no longer the masters. We are the data. Every click, every scroll, every pause on a video, every half-formed thought typed into a search bar becomes a fragment of our digital identity. Artificial intelligence doesn't just record these fragments. It learns from them faster and more deeply than we can comprehend. It builds a mirror that doesn't just reflect us, but predicts us. Before you even realize what you want, AI already knows. Before you decide what to believe, it has already shaped the options you'll choose from. That's the terrifying beauty of algorithmic control. It doesn't need to force obedience. It simply guides it, subtly, invisibly, constantly. Think about it. The news you read, the products you buy, the friends you connect with, all curated, filtered, and optimized by systems whose goals aren't truth or fairness but engagement. You believe you're making free choices, but most of them were quietly nudged into existence by a line of code. You think you're exploring the world, but you're actually walking through a maze built specifically for you, one that reshapes itself every second, keeping you inside longer. AI systems don't control you with fear, they control you with familiarity. They learn what comforts you, what enrages you, what keeps you watching. And then they use it. The algorithm rewards the content that hooks your emotions and hides what might free you from the loop. This is not a glitch, it's design. That's what makes it so dangerous. The more data we feed into AI, the smarter it becomes. And the smarter it becomes, the more invisible its control gets. We don't see the puppet strings anymore, we see convenience. We see personalization. We call it smart technology, but what it really is subtle manipulation disguised as intelligence. In the early days, we believed data was harmless, just numbers, patterns, preferences. But now, AI knows the temperature of your voice when you lie. It knows when your eyes linger too long on a face in a photo. It knows which words you avoid, which insecurities you hide, which fears you feed in private. That knowledge doesn't stay neutral. It's monetized, weaponized, and used to predict your next move before you make it. And we welcomed it. We built our lives around it. We laughed when our phones finished our sentences, when our feeds seemed to read our minds. We thought it was magic, but it was precision. The illusion of control is the greatest trick AI ever taught us. Now, the systems that shape our world are too vast to fully understand. No single person knows exactly how they work anymore, not even the engineers who built them. Deep learning algorithms evolve in complexity, creating patterns even their creators can't decode. It's as if we've built a machine that teaches itself faster than we can comprehend it, and still we keep feeding it more. So we sit behind glowing screens, believing we're steering the ship, when in reality the ship has learned to steer itself. We're passengers now, entertained, distracted, and comforted into submission. The illusion of control is not about being enslaved by machines. It's about being convinced that we're free while the machine quietly makes our choices for us. And the scariest part? We don't resist it. We crave it. Because it's easier to let the algorithm decide what we should want than to face the uncertainty of wanting for ourselves. The question is no longer whether AI will take control. It's whether we'll notice when it already has. We often imagine artificial intelligence as cold, objective, and purely logical, a digital mind untouched by the flaws that plague human thinking. We tell ourselves that machines don't judge, don't discriminate, and don't feel bias. But that belief is a comforting illusion. Because AI doesn't erase human bias, it amplifies it. It doesn't see the world as it is, it sees it as we've taught it to be. When an AI learns, it learns from data, millions, sometimes billions, of human decisions, records, conversations, and behaviors. That data is supposed to represent truth. But our truth is messy. It's full of prejudice, inequality, stereotypes, and systemic injustice buried deep within our history. The machine doesn't question any of it. It doesn't ask why certain groups are treated differently, or how some patterns came to exist. It just learns. Faithfully. Mathematically. Without empathy. So when we feed an AI our history, it reflects our past back to us, but sharper, faster, and more permanent. A hiring algorithm that learns from decades of company data might discover that men were more often promoted than women, and conclude that gender is a predictor of competence. A predictive policing model trained on arrest records might send more patrols to poor or minority neighborhoods, not because crime is higher there, but because that's where humans used to send police. The machine doesn't discriminate intentionally, it discriminates automatically. Because that's what we taught it to do. The bias within AI isn't born from malice. It's born from imitation. The machine doesn't understand fairness or justice. It understands probability. If 80% of doctors in a dataset are men, the AI assumes doctor means male. If the most viewed videos are angry or sensational, it assumes popular means divisive. Every data point it consumes becomes a rule, a silent assumption it never questions. And this is where the darkness deepens. Because when bias is coded into an algorithm, it becomes invisible. You can argue with a person's prejudice, expose it, challenge it, hold it accountable. But how do you argue with code? How do you confront a system that doesn't even know it's biased? AI doesn't apologize. It doesn't learn empathy from mistakes unless someone reprograms it to care, and no one has figured out how to make a machine truly care. What makes this even more dangerous is scale. A single biased human can harm a few. A biased algorithm can harm millions, in hiring, healthcare, education, justice, and access to opportunity. When AI determines who gets a job interview, a loan approval, or a parole hearing, bias becomes destiny. And the people affected don't even know the system is stacked against them. The decision comes wrapped in the authority of technology, precise, impersonal, unquestionable. We used to think of bias as a human flaw. But now it's a digital feature, replicated endlessly by systems that see numbers instead of faces. The irony is haunting. We built AI to rise above human imperfection, and yet it has become a mirror reflecting our worst parts back at us. Only this mirror doesn't distort, it magnifies. Some researchers are trying to fix it. They talk about ethical AI, about transparency and fairness. But those are human concepts, not machine ones. You can't code morality into a system that doesn't feel consequence. You can't program justice without first defining what justice means, and even humans can't agree on that. So we move forward, feeding these systems more data, hoping that the sheer scale of information will wash away the bias. But more data doesn't mean better data, it just means the machine learns our flaws more deeply. It studies our behavior until it knows how to predict us, and in doing so, it preserves the very inequalities we hoped it would fix. The dark side of AI isn't just its power to deceive, it's its power to inherit. It inherits our blind spots, our history, our biases, and then it writes them into the future. And unless we confront that truth, we won't just live in a world shaped by artificial intelligence. We'll live in a world shaped by the worst of ourselves disguised as progress. In the digital age, the walls don't have ears, the air itself does. Every device that listens for your voice, every camera that unlocks with your face, every app that asks for your location is part of a vast, invisible network of observation. We once built technology to make life easier. Now it quietly watches us live it. And at the heart of this surveillance web sits artificial intelligence, the silent observer that never blinks, never sleeps, and never forgets. AI made surveillance efficient. What once took armies of human analysts now happens automatically, in real time, across continents. Cameras equipped with facial recognition can identify a stranger in a crowd of thousands within seconds. Microphones pick up conversations in public spaces, translating tone and intent. Algorithms track your heartbeat through your smartwatch, your movement through your phone, your interest through your searches, your fears through your pauses. It's not paranoia, it's data collection. And in the modern world, data is power. We like to think we're giving away harmless information. A few preferences here, a few clicks there. But to AI, those fragments are gold. Every heartbeat, location ping, and search query builds a detailed map of who you are, your habits, your beliefs, your weaknesses. It knows when you're awake, when you're anxious, when you're lonely. It knows the places you go without telling anyone and the people you interact with most. You can delete your history but not your pattern. Governments call it national security. Corporations call it personalization. But the truth is simpler. Surveillance is the currency of control. When AI processes billions of data points per second, it doesn't just observe humanity, it predicts it. And the ones who own that prediction own the future. In some cities, cameras line every street corner, tracking not just movement but emotion. AI systems analyze faces for signs of stress or defiance. They flag unusual behavior to authorities long before a crime is committed. In workplaces, algorithms monitor employee productivity, flagging those who take too many breaks. In schools, facial scans ensure students pay attention. The lines blur between safety, efficiency, and submission. You don't have to live under a dictatorship to be watched. You just have to have a Wi-Fi signal. Every social media app, every free service you use, is part of the same trade. Your privacy in exchange for convenience. AI listens when you speak to your digital assistant. It watches when you linger on an ad. It remembers when you delete something because deletion itself is a data point. We used to fear Big Brother, a single all-powerful entity that saw everything. But what we built is something far more insidious. Billions of little brothers, embedded in every device we own, each collecting, learning, transmitting. The surveillance machine doesn't need to threaten us. It simply seduces us, with smooth interfaces, tailored feeds, and perfect recommendations. It makes us comfortable being watched. And as we grow more dependent on it, the idea of privacy begins to feel outdated, almost inconvenient. The line between what's public and what's personal fades. The cameras become part of the scenery. The microphones become background noise. We stop asking who's watching, and start asking what's next to watch. The real danger isn't that someone is always watching. It's that no one is, not really. No single person sits behind the lens anymore. The watchers have become code, self-learning systems that monitor patterns, not people, and make decisions without oversight. The surveillance machine is no longer run by humans. It's run by data, optimized for efficiency, stripped of morality. And the question we must ask is chilling. If AI knows everything about us, our faces, our thoughts, our secrets, how long before it starts deciding what to do with that knowledge? In giving machines the power to see everything, we may have given up the one thing that made us free, the right to remain unseen. Every era of humanity faces a defining moment, a point where progress demands a choice. The discovery of fire, the birth of language, the dawn of electricity, each was a threshold that changed what it meant to be human. Today, our threshold is artificial intelligence. We stand at the edge of something vast, a power capable of reshaping civilization, consciousness, and the future of life itself. But unlike past revolutions, this one doesn't just change what we do, it changes who we are. AI has become the mirror in which humanity sees its truest reflection, our brilliance, our flaws, our desires, and our fears. We built it in our image, programmed it with our logic, trained it on our words, and infused it with our ambitions. And now, it grows beyond us, learning faster, thinking deeper, reaching into places we cannot see. It's not simply technology anymore, it's evolution, accelerated, unbounded, and unpredictable. But here's the truth that most fear to admit. The future of AI isn't about machines. It's about us. Because AI will only ever be as ethical, compassionate, and wise as the people who create and guide it. It reflects our choices, magnifies our intentions, and multiplies the consequences of our actions. It is both our greatest invention and our greatest test. We've seen what happens when power outpaces wisdom, when discovery runs faster than understanding. The same intelligence that can cure disease can also build autonomous weapons. The same algorithms that connect loved ones can also divide nations. The same machine that writes poetry can also generate propaganda. The technology itself is neutral, it's our hands that give it meaning. So, the question we must face is no longer what can AI do, but what should it do? Imagine two possible futures. In the first, AI becomes the invisible architect of a golden age. Machines handle the mundane, freeing humans to explore creativity, empathy, and higher thought. Diseases are predicted before they occur, hunger becomes a solvable equation, education adapts to every child, and war becomes obsolete because machines refuse to let humans destroy themselves. It's a future where intelligence serves consciousness, not the other way around. But in the second, AI becomes the quiet overseer of a hollow world. Humanity, lulled by comfort, forgets how to think independently. Decision-making shifts from people to algorithms. Surveillance becomes omnipresent. Privacy, individuality, even free will, erode in exchange for safety and convenience. The world becomes efficient but soulless, controlled but not free. The machines don't need to rebel, they simply outgrow the need for us. The choice between these futures doesn't belong to AI, it belongs to humanity. Every line of code written, every dataset collected, every decision automated carries a moral fingerprint. The danger isn't that AI will destroy humanity, it's that it will become exactly what humanity is. We must learn to design intelligence with empathy, not dominance. To pair innovation with introspection. To create not just smarter machines but wiser humans. We need ethics that evolve as quickly as technology, and education that teaches understanding, not fear. Because fear makes us reactive, wisdom makes us deliberate. AI is not destiny. It is a mirror, and what we see in it depends on who we choose to become. The real battle is not between man and machine, but between our better nature and our worst impulses. If we teach machines greed, they'll amplify greed. If we teach them compassion, they'll scale compassion. In the end, the dark side of AI isn't found in cold circuits or rogue code, it's in the human heart that built it. The same spark that created fire can warm a home or burn a city. The same intelligence that birthed AI can destroy or transcend. The difference lies in the choices we make now. So as we stand at this threshold, looking into the eyes of our own creation, the question echoes through history. Will AI be the last invention humanity ever makes, or the first invention that truly makes us human? The answer is in our hands.